The sun of Dryreach rose slowly, but it did not bring warmth or hope. It only brought more heat, more dust, and more hunger. The wind carried the smell of burning metal, and people walked with
Careful
dry
now,
lips
these
and
parts ain't
tired
friendly to your
eyes.
kind.
Water was life on this broken world, and life was slipping away day by day. In the center of the old market stood a small wooden stall. Behind it stood a human man named Jonas Hawley. He was tall, quiet, and careful. His hands were rough from work, and his face always looked a little tired, but everyone knew one thing about him. His water was real, clean, pure, safe. Human water. The last real water on the entire market. People lined up every morning. Some begged, some fought, some tried to steal. But Jonas never cheated, never lied, never mixed dirt into his water like the other sellers. He had only a few barrels left, and he guarded them like treasure. This day, however, felt strange. Jonas sensed it the moment he opened the stall. The crowd did not rush forward like normal. Instead, they stared at the sky. Their faces were full of fear. A heavy dust cloud rolled across the horizon. The wind fell silent. Even the animals stopped moving. Jonas looked around. What is happening? He whispered. Then he saw them. Two alien women walked slowly through the silent market walkway. Their clothes were torn, their feet bleeding, and their silver skin was covered in travel marks. They were sisters. Their faces looked alike, sharp eyes, thin cheeks, and long dark hair braided with broken beads. They were Valari women. This shocked everyone. The Valari rarely left their mountains. They never begged. They never traded. They were proud, private, and strong. If they were here, something terrible must have happened. People stepped away from them. Some whispered, "Why are they here? They look weak. Are they hiding from something?" Jonas stood very still as the sisters stopped in front of his stall. The older sister placed a small cloth bag on the counter. The younger one placed a second bag with shaking hands. Jonas opened them. Inside were family treasures, old shining stones, necklaces carved by hand, and silver rings with symbols of their tribe. These were not normal items. These were things a Valari would never give away unless everything in their life was falling apart. The older sister bowed her head. Her voice was dry and quiet. "Human, please. We need clean water." Jonas frowned. He had seen many desperate people, but never Valari. Why come so far? Why risk so much? The younger sister lifted her face. Tears had carved lines through the dust on her cheeks. "Not for us," she whispered. "For our little brother. He is dying, hiding from hunters." Jonas felt a cold fear in his stomach. Hunters? Who would hunt Valari children? Before he could ask, the market suddenly moved again. A sharp noise echoed from the rooftops. Jonas looked up. Shapes were standing there. Dark, silent figures with long rifles and metal masks. They did not speak. They did not move. They only watched. Directly at Jonas and the sisters. The crowd panicked. People ran. Vendors closed their stalls. Some hid behind metal crates. Everyone knew those masked hunters were dangerous. They worked for someone powerful. Someone cruel. Jonas stepped closer to the sisters. "Why are they following you?" he whispered. The older sister looked around in fear. "Because we escaped." "Escaped from what?" Jonas asked. The younger one grabbed his arm with freezing fingers. "Not what," she said. Her voice broke. "Wit." Jonas felt his heartbeat grow heavy. "What is it?" he asked softly. The older sister pointed to the sky. The dust cloud had grown darker, heavier, almost alive. A deep, metallic roar rolled across the land, shaking the ground under their feet. "It is coming," she whispered. "It follows water. It drains water. It kills anything that holds water." The younger one added, "And now it has sensed yours." Jonas's throat tightened. The entire market seemed ready to explode with fear. The sisters looked at him with hopeless eyes. "Please, the older sister begged again. "Help us save our brother." Jonas looked at the treasures on the counter. He looked at the terrified crowd. He looked at the dark cloud where something monstrous was moving toward the market. He was the last man with clean water. And now, something that hunted water was coming straight for him. Jonas pulled the sisters into the small wooden shelter behind his stall just as the market erupted into screams. People ran in every direction, pushing and falling, trying to escape the unseen thing moving in the dark dust cloud. Jonas shut the door and dropped the metal bar across it. Inside, the air was hot and tight. The sisters stood near the barrels of clean water, breathing fast. Jonas looked at their tired faces. Dust stuck to their skin like gray paint. Their eyes were full of fear. And something else, shame. "Now tell me," Jonas said, trying to keep his voice calm. "What is coming? What are you running from?" The older sister, Saren, pressed a hand to her forehead. "A machine," she whispered. "A monster made of metal and wires. A creature that takes water from land and from living things." The younger sister, Lyra, added, "It is called the Drainer. It has no heart, no mind, only one purpose: to drink the planet dry." Jonas froze. Machines that hunted water? Machines that drained life from beings? That was not natural. That was not a local legend. That sounded like technology too advanced for this world. "Why is it after you?" Jonas asked. Saren looked away. That was enough to tell Jonas the truth was painful. "We were blamed," Lyra whispered. "Our village, our people. They think we woke the machine by mistake." Saren nodded slowly. "We tried to repair an old ruin. We touched something we did not understand. And the machine inside that place woke up." Jonas felt a heavy knot inside his chest. "So your people punished you?" "No," Saren said. "They tried to protect us. But the hunters, those masked ones, they were sent by someone else. Someone who wants the machine." Jonas stared at her. "Why would anyone want something that destroys water?" Lyra swallowed hard. "Because whoever controls the Drainer controls who lives or dies on this planet." Jonas felt cold, even in the heat. Outside, another deep metallic roar rolled through the market. The walls of the shelter trembled as though a giant creature had stepped nearby. Saren grabbed Jonas's arm. "Please, we do not need much water. Just enough to save our brother. He is weak." "So weak," Lyra nodded quickly. "We left him hidden in an old mining tunnel. If we do not bring water soon, he will not survive." Jonas looked at the barrels behind him, his last treasure from Earth, his last connection to home, the only thing that gave him income, safety, and respect. He could lose everything if he helped them. He could also lose his life. But he looked at Saren and Lyra, two alien women who sold their history, their pride, and their future for a single chance to save a younger brother. Jonas sighed. "How far is this mining tunnel?" 2 days by foot, Saren replied softly. "If we leave now," Jonas stared at the door. "The market is crawling with hunters. Leaving now may get us all killed." Lyra stepped forward. "Staying will kill even more. The Drainer moves fast when it senses clean water. And it has sensed yours." As if the machine heard her, the ground shook again. A cold gust blew dust under the door. The roaring sound came closer, lower, hungrier. "Fine," Jonas said. "We move fast. I will load small barrels, only enough to carry." The sisters smiled for the first time, weak but thankful. Jonas lifted a small barrel and tied it with rope. Then he handed Saren and Lyra each a canister filled with enough water to save their brother. Suddenly, boom. The entire front wall of the market cracked. People screamed. Hunters shouted orders. Jonas peeked through a gap in the wooden boards. At the far end of the street, the dust cloud split apart. A giant shadow appeared inside it, tall, thin, and glowing metal legs, spinning arms, a round core that pulsed like a heartbeat. A voice like broken thunder. Water detected. Saren gasped. It has come early. Jonas grabbed his pack. Then we have no more time. We run now. He pushed open the back door of the shelter. The three slipped into a narrow alley, their footsteps soft on the dry ground. Behind them, the metal monster's roar echoed again, shaking every building in the market. The drainer had arrived, and it wanted Jonas's water. Jonas, Saren, and Lyra slipped through the broken alleys behind the market, moving fast but staying low. The ground shook again and again as the drainer stepped into the marketplace, each metallic foot hitting the soil with a deep, heavy boom. Jonas did not dare look back. He could already feel the vibration in his bones. Keep close, he whispered. Saren held the small water canister tight against her chest. Lyra followed behind her, glancing over her shoulder every few seconds. The sisters were trembling, but they did not stop. They knew time was dying as fast as their little brother. Jonas led them through a damaged drainage tunnel that opened into the dry plains outside the city. The air burned their throats. The sky was pale yellow. Cracks like spiderwebs stretched across the ground. 2 days? Jonas asked Saren again. If we walk fast, she said softly. If nothing stops us. Jonas almost laughed at that. Everything wants to stop us. Behind them, in the distance, the drainer roared again. The sound rolled across the plain like thunder coming from a dying sky. Jonas tightened his grip on the rope around the small water barrel he carried on his back. They walked for hours under. The burning sun, the dry wind fought them. Sand hit their faces, their feet hurt. Their mouths dried quickly, but they did not drink. Every drop was for the boy waiting in the mine dot as evening approached. They finally reached a low canyon filled with sharp rocks. Jonas climbed down first, then helped the sisters. The canyon offered shade, and for a moment, they all rested. Lyra leaned against a rock, closing her eyes. I did not think we would get this far. Jonas looked at her. You too have. Walked alone for days before finding me? Lyra nodded. Our village was gone when the machine came. It sucked the river until the ground cracked. It took the water from the trees. It even drained the animals. Everything turned to dust. Saren's voice broke. We found our brother under broken stones. He was alive. But only just we hid him. We told him we would come back. Jonas watched them silently. Their pain was deep. Their hope was thin. Yet they were still walking. He admired that, but something in their story burned in his mind. Saren, Jonas said slowly. You said your people blamed you for waking the machine. How? Saren lowered her head. We were studying an old ruin in the mountains. An ancient place full of metal pieces and strange lights. We touched a panel, and it opened. Something inside began to glow. Jonas froze. A panel? Glowing. Symbols? That sounds like Earth tech. Saren looked confused. Earth? You think humans built this monster? Jonas felt a cold ache in his stomach. Not a monster. A tool. A machine made to search for water worlds. But if something broke inside, it could turn dangerous. Lyra stared at him. You know this? No, Jonas said. But my people once made machines that could detect water across planets. Saren swallowed hard. Then this is your fault. Jonas did not answer. He did not fight the words. Maybe humans did create this nightmare long ago. Maybe this was the last shadow of a human past he never knew, before anyone could speak again. Ground trembled lightly. Jonas froze. Do you feel that? Another tremble. Another shock. Then Dash silenced out. Lyra whispered. It is searching. Saren grabbed Jonas's arm. We need to move now. They climbed out of the canyon and walked through the plains under. A purple sky. The broken moon rose above them, glowing weakly. The wind grew colder. Jonas felt the presence of the machine far behind them, distant but steady. Like a giant tracking their path drop by drop. By nightfall, they reached the edge of the old mining fields. Rusted rails, broken carts, and collapsed wooden beams lay everywhere. Strange wind whistled through empty shafts like ghosts calling. Saren pointed to a narrow tunnel covered with stones. "Inside," she said with a shaking voice. "Our brother is inside." Jonas stepped forward, heart heavy, legs tired, back aching from the weight of the water barrel. But as he reached the tunnel entrance, a soft, weak voice drifted out. "Saren." "Lyra, is that you?" Lyra began to cry. Saren covered her mouth with both hands. The boy was alive. But behind them, in the distance, the drainer roared again. Closer this time. Much closer. Jonas crouched at the mouth of the narrow tunnel, his heart pounding. Saren and Lyra rushed inside, crawling over loose stones as they reached their little brother. The boy lay curled on the ground, thin as a shadow, his skin dry and cracked. His lips were pale, and his breathing sounded like soft scratches in the dark. Saren lifted his head gently. "Talon, we came back. We brought help." The boy blinked weakly, trying to smile. I knew you would come." Jonas slid into the tunnel and placed the first canister of clean water beside them. Saren opened it with shaking hands, holding it carefully so they wouldn't spill even a single drop. She helped Talon sip the water slowly, only one tiny mouthful at a time. Lyra wiped her eyes. "Drink, little brother. Drink slowly." Talon swallowed, then gasped softly as life returned to his body in small waves. His fingers twitched. His eyes opened wider. Jonas watched closely. The boy was still weak too. Weak to move far, but he was alive. For now. A soft rumble rolled across the ground. Jonas stiffened. "It's here." Saren froze with the canister still in her hands. "Not this fast. It should not be this fast." Jonas crawled backward and peered out from the tunnel. The plain outside was dark, lit only by the broken moon. At first he saw nothing. Then dust rose in the distance, forming a long twisting line like a serpent moving under the surface. A metal sound rang out sharp. "Cold, hungry." Lyra whispered. "It is tracking the water. It must feel the clean water inside Talon now." Jonas felt sweat run down his back. "We need to move now." He helped Talon sit up. The boy tried to stand, but his legs folded. Jonas lifted him gently and put him over his shoulder. "You carry the canisters," he told Saren and Lyra. "I carry him." The sisters nodded, wiping tears away, and followed Jonas out of the tunnel. The night air hit them like a burning wind. Jonas felt Talon's weight and knew the boy could not survive another chase. The ground shook again, stronger than before. Rocks rolled down the hills. Metal echoes vibrated through the plain like a giant calling for its prey. Jonas turned to the sisters. "Where is the closest place to hide?" Saren pointed toward a long ridge of black rock. "There is a broken city near the ridge, old buildings. Some tunnels underground. We can hide there. Then we move now," Jonas ordered. They ran. Jonas carried Talon, stumbling over broken stones. Saren and Lyra ran beside him, gripping the canisters tightly. Their breathing grew fast and loud, but they did not stop. Behind them, the drainer stepped into view. A giant metal creature with 6 long legs, each one sharp as a blade. A glowing blue core spun at its center. Pipes and wires twisted across its body like veins. Its head had a single round sensor that glowed bright red, watching, scanning, hunting. The ground cracked under its feet. Water detected. Its voice echoed across the land like a broken machine screaming into the sky. Jonas felt Talon flinch on his back. Saren shouted, "Faster! Faster!" They ran toward the ridge, their legs burning. The drainer moved behind them, covering huge distances in only a few steps. Sand blew around its legs as it advanced, sensing the drops of clean water inside Talon and the canisters. Jonas's Lungs burned, his legs shook. But he ran harder. Finally they reached the broken walls of an abandoned city. Tall structures leaned sideways, rusted metal frames bent like old skeletons. Windows were shattered. Streets were cracked and dry. Jonas slipped into a narrow alley. Saren and Lyra followed. From behind them came another roar, closer, deeper, hungrier. "It knows we are here," Lyra whispered. Jonas pressed himself against a fallen metal beam, trying to think. "We need to lose the scent. The drainer follows moisture. We must hide." "The water," Saren shook her head. "We cannot pour it out." "Talon." "I'm not saying that," Jonas said quickly. "We need to confuse it." He spotted a broken cistern at the far end of the street. He handed Talon to Lyra and sprinted to the cistern, splashing a few drops of water on the metal. Then he ran back. Seconds later, the drainer slammed into the street, the ground shaking under its weight. Its red sensor scanned the area. Water, water. Jonas held his breath. The drainer turned toward the cistern. It worked. "Move," Jonas whispered. Now, they slipped deeper into the ruins. The drainer followed the false trail, its metal limbs scraping the buildings. Jonas whispered to the sisters, "We need to keep ahead of it, but soon. We must stop running." Saren stared at him. "What do you mean?" Jonas looked into the darkness with hard eyes. "We need a plan to fight it." Outside, the drainer's roar tore through the night. Jonas and the sisters moved deeper into the ruined city, their footsteps soft on the cracked ground. Broken towers leaned over them like old giants falling asleep. Rusted pipes hung from the walls. Windows were shattered, letting the cold night. Air passed through like the breath of ghosts. Talon lay weakly in Lyra's arms as they stepped into a collapsed factory. Moonlight entered through holes in the roof, painting silver lines across the dusty floor. Jonas put his water barrel down and caught his breath. Sweat dripped down his face. His lungs felt like fire. Saren paced back and forth, fear shaking her movements. "It is not fooled for long," she said. "It will sense us again," Jonas nodded. "Yes, it always finds water. But we need time. A little time." Lyra gently lowered Talon beside a broken machine. The boy whispered, "I can walk soon. I think. Just give me a little more water." Lyra brushed his hair back. "No, Talon, you must rest. You lived because of Jonas's water. Do not waste your strength." Jonas crouched beside Talon. "You'll be all right. But we need a safe place by sunrise." Saren stopped pacing. Her face was pale. "There's no safe place, not anymore." Jonas stood up. "There might be, but we must understand what we are fighting." He walked to a rusted panel on the wall. Strange symbols carved into metal had faded over time. Jonas wiped the dust away with his sleeve. Lyra asked softly, "You know these marks?" Jonas stared at them. "Not exactly. But they are similar to marks found on old human explorer ships. Shapes that guide machines. Symbols that tell them where to go." Saren slowly approached. "Are you saying humans built this monster?" Jonas didn't answer immediately. Instead, he pushed the panel. It slid open with a crack, revealing a hidden interface glowing faint blue despite its age. The sisters gasped. Jonas whispered, "This is human design. Very old human work, long before my time." Lyra covered her mouth. "Then the drainer." "Yes," Jonas said softly. "It was once a tool. Humans made it to search for water worlds. It traveled across galaxies, following moisture. But something must have broken. A system, a directive. Maybe your village ruins awakened it by accident." Saren's eyes filled with anger and fear. "So our people blamed us for touching something humans left behind long ago?" Jonas felt guilt twist inside him. "It was not your fault. It was our fault, my people's fault. We lost control of the machine generations ago." Now it sees all water as something it must collect. Lyra trembled. Does it know you are human? Jonas nodded slowly. It might. Old machines recognize human commands, but only if spoken correctly, and I don't know those codes. Talon coughed softly. If you are human, can you stop it? Jonas looked at the boy. His throat felt tight. Maybe, but I don't know how. Before he could say more, the ground trembled again, slow, deep vibrations that made dust fall from the ceiling. Saren stepped back. It is near. Jonas turned to the panel again. If this is a control room, there must be old logs stored in the system. Something about the machine's purpose. He pressed a series of buttons. The blue lights flickered. A small screen blinked alive, showing fractured recordings. Most were broken. But one message repeated clearly: searching for water sources. Priority. Acquire. Secondary. Remove potential contaminants. Jonas felt his stomach twist. Remove contaminants. That means living things. Saren's voice broke. It kills us because we carry water. Jonas slammed his fist against the panel. This machine is not evil. It is broken. Lyra whispered. Broken or not, it will kill us. A sudden crash echoed across the factory. Metal beams shook. Dust clouds rose. Jonas grabbed the water barrel and pulled the others deeper into the factory. The drainer's red sensor light flashed through a broken window like a glowing eye in the night. It had found their trail. Jonas pressed the sisters into a narrow hallway. We need to trick it again, use its own programming. How? Saren whispered. Jonas pointed to a large fuel tank leaking old oil. This liquid is thick, heavy. If we coat the canisters with it, the machine will have trouble sensing the water. Lyra hesitated. But the smell, we don't have a choice, Jonas said. Do it. Fast. They worked quickly, rubbing the canisters with dark oil. Jonas even splashed some on himself. Talon coughed and covered his face as Lyra shielded him. Deep metallic roar answered from outside. The drainer was close. Jonas lifted Talon again. We need to leave now. Go through the back. Stay low. Follow me. Saren grabbed his arm. Jonas, where will we go? Jonas looked toward the ridge beyond the city, dark, sharp, and full of dangerous caves. To the Crystal Canyon, he said. Saren's eyes widened. That place is unstable, Jonas nodded. Exactly. If anything can stop the drainer, it's there. Outside, the machine called again. Water, water. Human, water. Jonas whispered, move. And they ran into the shadows. Jonas led the group out the back of the ruined factory. The night air felt heavier now, as if the world itself feared what followed them. Behind the cracked walls, the drainer's metal limbs scraped against stone, growing louder with each passing second. Its red sensor glowed through every broken window like a watching eye. Stay close, Jonas whispered. Do not look back. Saren and Lyra nodded, each gripping an oil-covered water canister. Talon lay weak and half awake against Jonas's shoulder, his small hands clutching Jonas's shirt. They slipped between fallen towers, stepping over shattered metal and dead roots. The city ruins gave them shadows to hide in, but only for a little while. The drainer's heavy steps grew stronger. Dust rose behind them, blowing through the streets like the breath of a great monster. Jonas quickened his pace. We need distance before it scans again. Saren whispered, how far is the Crystal Canyon? Not far, Jonas said, though he was not sure. We follow the ridge until we reach a deep cut in the ground. The canyon is unstable. If we lead the machine inside, it might fall. Lyra's eyes widened. You want to trap it there? It is the only way, Jonas said. We cannot outrun it. We cannot hide forever. But we can make it step where the ground cannot hold its weight. Talon coughed weakly. Jonas shifted him gently. The boy's skin felt warmer, now alive, but still fragile. They kept moving, leaving the last remains of the ruined city. Before them stretched a long plain of cracked soil and sharp rocks lit by the pale broken moon. The ridge in the distance rose like a dark wall, but behind them, the drainer stepped out of the city, a tall metal silhouette. 6 long legs, a spinning core glowing blue like a furious sun. Its sensor found their footprints. Water, human. Water, the voice echoed across the plain. Saren grabbed Jonas's arm. It knows exactly where we are. Jonas grit his teeth. Then we move faster. They ran down the plain beneath their feet felt endless. The air tasted sharp with metal dust. Talon's breathing grew soft and quick. Jonas held him tighter, whispering, "Hold on, boy. We're close." Every few seconds, the drainer's metallic roar shook the ground. Jonas could feel the vibrations in his legs, like the earth warning him that the machine was gaining speed. Lyra looked back once, then quickly turned forward again. "It is running now. Jonas, it's closing in." No, Jonas said, forcing himself to push harder. His muscles burned. His back ached from Talon's weight. But he did not slow. The ridge grew closer. Jagged rocks formed crooked shapes at its base. A narrow path led upward. Jonas pointed. "That way." They climbed, slipping on loose stones. The drainer climbed too, tearing through rocks like they were paper. It gained height quickly, its metal legs pounding against the ridge. Jonas reached the top of the ridge and saw it. The Crystal Canyon, a massive fracture in the earth. Glowing blue crystals lined the walls. The wind there hummed with strange vibrations, as if the air itself was unstable. Saren whispered in awe. "This place, it feels alive." "It reacts to pressure," Jonas said. "Step wrong, and the crystals explode." Lyra stared at him. "And you want us to go in there?" Jonas nodded. "Yes, and we need the drainer to follow." Behind them, the machine rose over the ridge, its red sensor locking onto Jonas. The blue core pulsed faster. Human detected. Water detected. Acquire. Saren stepped closer to Jonas. "How can we survive inside the canyon if crystals explode?" Jonas looked at her with steady eyes. "Because we are light. The drainer is heavy. If we step carefully on strong ground and lead it onto weak ground, the canyon will break under its weight." Talon whispered weakly. "Will it work?" Jonas touched the boy's shoulder. "It has to." They entered the canyon. Sharp blue crystals glowed all around them, lighting the path with a soft haunting glow. The ground cracked under their feet but held firm. They moved slowly now, each step deliberate. Jonas whispered instructions. "Step only where the ground is dark. Avoid the bright crystal patches, they react." The drainer followed, smashing crystal pillars as it entered. The entire canyon shook violently, sending echoes through the walls. Water, human. Jonas reached a wide-open area flat, covered in glowing crystals. The perfect trap. He turned to Saren and Lyra. "Get behind that large rock. Hide Talon there." Lyra hesitated. "What about you?" Jonas tightened the straps on his water barrel. "I will draw it to the center." Saren grabbed his hand. "Jonas, you will die." He gave a tired, brave smile. "Not if I run fast." The drainer stepped closer. Closer. Crushing crystal after crystal. Each step made the canyon shake harder. Jonas ran across the glowing field. Crystals lit up beneath him. The drainer followed. The canyon hummed like a living thing ready to break apart. Jonas shouted, "Come on, come get the water." The drainer charged after him, and the crystal field began to crack. The crystal field shook under Jonas's boots as he sprinted across it. Each crystal he stepped on flickered with bright blue light, humming like a warning. Behind him, the drainer charged forward, its heavy metal legs smashing into glowing patches that were never meant to hold such weight. Saren and Lyra hid behind a large rock with Talon. Their hearts raced with every thunderous step the machine took. The canyon echoed with metallic roars. Jonas reached the far end of the crystal field, turned around, and saw the drainer right where he needed it, standing in the center, its weight pushing deep into the unstable ground. "Come on," Jonas whispered breathlessly. "Just a little more." The drainer lifted its sensor toward him. Its red glow sharpened like a burning eye. Human, water, acquire. Its legs pushed down on the crystals. A loud crack shot across the canyon floor. Saren gasped. "Jonas!" "It's breaking!" Jonas shouted. "Stay back! Don't move!" His voice echoed through the canyon like thunder. The drainer stepped again. Another crystal shattered. The ground under it trembled violently. Jonas felt the canyon rumble beneath him. The crystals were reaching their limit. The pressure was too much. The machine kept advancing, unaware of the danger. Jonas backed up to the canyon wall, panting. His entire body ached. His legs shook. He had pushed himself far beyond his limits, but he held his ground. "Come on," he whispered again. "Just one more step." The drainer raised its front leg. Boom. The center of the crystal field collapsed. Blue light exploded upward like lightning. The drainer dropped suddenly as the ground beneath it fell away. Its metal limbs scrambled, grasping at nothing. Its voice glitched. "Watt-ter-err." Then the crystals cracked again. Deeper this time. The canyon floor split wide open, swallowing the machine. The drainer's core flickered wildly as it plunged into the depths. Its final roar echoed through the canyon like a dying storm. Then, silence. The air grew still. Dust settled slowly over the shattered crystal field. The giant machine was gone. Jonas collapsed to his knees, breathing heavily. He let the rope around his water barrel slide off his shoulder. It was over. Saren and Lyra rushed out from behind the rock, helping Talon to his feet. "Jonas!" Lyra cried, running to him. "Are you hurt?" Jonas shook his head weakly. "Just tired, very tired." Saren knelt beside him. Her eyes shined with tears. "You did it. You saved us. You saved our world." Jonas gave a small smile. "I only helped. You saved yourselves too." Behind them, Talon approached unsteadily. His legs were still weak, but his eyes were brighter alive. He hugged Jonas tightly. "Thank you." "Human," Jonas returned the hug gently. "You're safe now." Far below them, the canyon made a low groaning sound as crystals settled again. The drainer's body was buried deep, unable to climb out. The ground had become its final prison. Saren stood and looked toward the sky. "Without the machine, the land can heal. Water may return." Jonas nodded. "It will take time, but life finds a way." The journey back took many days. They passed through the dry plains, the broken city, and the edge of the old market. Without the drainer's presence, the air felt different, lighter, safer. When they reached the new settlement where survivors had gathered, people stared in shock. Rumors had spread that Jonas and the sisters were dead. No one expected them to return alive, especially not carrying a cured child. The Valari people came forward. Their faces softened when they saw Talon alive. The tribal leader stepped close to Saren and Lyra. "You risked everything," he said. "Your courage saved us." Saren looked at Jonas. "We did not do it alone." Jonas lowered his head modestly. "I only did what was right." The Valari leader touched the ground. "A human helped us when we blamed the wrong ones. We owe you a great debt." Jonas shook his head. "I don't want a debt. I want peace. And water for everyone." The leader smiled warmly. "You shall have that." In the days that followed, new springs began forming where the drainer had once drained the land. The ground healed, plants returned. The people rebuilt their homes. Jonas rebuilt his stall, not as a seller anymore, but as a giver. He placed his last barrel of human water at the center of the new market with a sign, Water is for all. Nitrogen monoxide price. No fear. Saren, Lyra, and Talon visited him often. They brought food, helped carry supplies, and told others about the human who saved their world. One evening, as the sun set behind the healing hills, Lyra looked at Jonas and asked, "Will you stay here with us?" Jonas looked around the people, the light, the growing life, and smiled softly. "Yes," he said. "This world needs water, and I need a home." And for the first time in a long time, Jonas felt something he thought he had lost forever: hope.